Joining us now, Joe diGenova, legal analyst, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia. Joe, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so we had 43 pages out of 145 pages of Christopher Steele's deposition declassified. It was given out for us to read, and we found that he used part of some CNN iReport website, which is just, anybody posting things on this webpage from '09 as part of the dossier. And we find out that he says, I didn't know that wasn't verified. This is just crazy. And are we going to see the other pages?
Yeah, eventually the other pages will come out. But what's important here is that this came out in a defamation lawsuit against BuzzFeed for publishing allegations about a Russian oligarch. That Russian has sued both in the United States and in the UK, and these are the depositions in those lawsuits. What this shows categorically is that the dossier was what I call info crap. It was unverified, unsubstantiated. It was a pretextual document that was spread by Glenn Simpson and Bruce Orr's wife and by Christopher Steele to dirty up the President of the United States. But it served a more important purpose, which was to get the FISA warrants against Carter Page. That was needed. You needed the FISA warrant in order to continue the false narrative that Trump was an agent of Russia. And interestingly enough, when Rod Rosenstein finally figured out that the dossier was a piece of info crap, what he did was he appointed Robert Mueller as a special counsel to look into all of it, not to get to the bottom of the FISA warrants, but to cover up the FISA warrants. The reason that Rosenstein is leaving the department is that he was part of the plot to frame Donald Trump. This is going to play out beautifully over the next year, now that we have a real Attorney General in the Justice Department, so that this release of the transcript of Christopher Steele's deposition and the accompanying news that John McCain and his staffer Kramer spread the false information shows you exactly how all this evolved and how really serious. I mean, Donald Trump has been right from day one. And remember, on this radio station, we started talking about this the day after the Comey news conference on July 6, 2016. So everybody's catching up with us, and it's fun to have them on board now.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good, proven right throughout this. I got to ask Joe more about this David Kramer portion. So David Kramer, who's a top aide to the late John McCain. This came up this weekend because the president was tweeting about that it was indeed proven that they were disseminating it to the FBI and the media. Right. This happened after the election. This was December of 2016.
Right.
And so what did you make of the testimony there and what David Kramer did with the dossier?
Well, you have to understand that John McCain was, in fact, an American hero. We all know that. He fought for his country. He was shot down over Vietnam. He spent years in a Hanoi prison camp. All true, God bless him. But when he became a United States Senator, he became a vindictive, nasty United States Senator. And this is part and parcel of that awful personality. People who worked with him on Capitol Hill knew how nasty and vindictive he was. He proved it. This spreading of because of course he hated Trump for the things that Trump said about him during the campaign, all of which Trump never should have said, but, he did say it.
Which, Joe, I just want to add, which were predicated by first McCain attacking Trump, saying that he was bringing the crazies out.
It's like Mitt Romney calling President Trump a fraud and a charlatan. That sounds like Romney talking about himself. But beyond that, McCain was a nasty, vindictive individual. One of the things people don't know, remember the 9/11 commission that Congress set up? McCain blocked the appointment of 3 women to the 9/11 Commission. That was another thing people don't remember about John McCain. He was a misogynist. He hated women. You could try to find one on his staff. You couldn't find any. He was a nasty guy, let me tell you, and this proved it. And the president is right to be angry about what McCain did. The spreading of that dossier was a despicable act of political espionage.
Because, here you've got McCain defenders saying, well, what's wrong with him getting information and giving it to the FBI? But he went well beyond that, didn't he?
Of course he did. He tried to undermine the President of the United States. He tried to do everything he could to convince law enforcement and the intelligence community to keep digging and get more. He spread the false information that Trump was working for Russia. He did a horrible thing to Trump and to the country.
Joe, we keep hearing that the Mueller report is going to be over because Weissman is now off, that they're wrapping this up. But court filings in the prosecution of Manafort show that Mueller's still investigating a fall 2016 meeting in Manhattan where the lifting of U.S. sanctions on Russia were discussed. He still has questions about the Ukraine amendment to the 2016 party platform and a couple of other things. This Mueller investigation may not be wrapping up. What's your sense of it?
I have no idea. I can tell you this: nothing will come of anything involving the Trump meeting. If people are dumb enough to talk to Mueller after this, they should talk to him by taking the fifth, not give him any information. It's pretty clear that given the way Weissman works, remember, Weissman's trick is to get you to come in and tell him something. Then he says, well, somebody else told me something else. So you're obviously lying, and I'm going to indict you for perjury unless you do what I want you to do. And then Weissman sends FBI agents to defense witnesses and threatens the defense witnesses that if they testify on your behalf, they're going to charge you with obstruction of justice. Andrew Weissman's leaving the special counsel's office is one of the great developments for honest law enforcement. The guy's a sleazeball. He's a vindictive prosecutor. He shouldn't ever have the power of prosecution again. And as far as Mueller's investigation, I have no idea what they're investigating at the Trump Tower. He has now become a law enforcement embarrassment. And I'm quite sure that Barr is monitoring everything he's doing, Attorney General Barr. I doubt if much will come from this alleged continuing investigation of Trump Tower meeting.
Well, this is not the Trump Tower meeting. This is another meeting that supposedly took place at a Manhattan cigar bar in the fall of 2016 where they discussed the lifting of U.S. sanctions on Russia.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about that's going to come out, I think shortly, is that the FBI was actually had not only one but several informants that they used inside the Trump Tower and were getting information in an effort to pursue investigations. Remember, when Dianne Feinstein had a Chinese spy on her staff, the FBI went and warned her. When Hillary Clinton broke the law, they went and gave her a pass. When instead of going and warning Donald Trump about unproven potential infiltration of his campaign, what did they do? Did they go and warn Donald Trump? No, they investigated him as a Russian spy. You think there's the Bureau at that point in its career was a disaster and remains a disaster under the current FBI director.
Well, Joe, thank you so much. We always appreciate it when you join us on Mondays. Have a fantastic week.